Magical moments with remarkable people. I warmly welcome you, Gordon, and our audience that will listen to our conversation today. Hi, Gordon. I know you are hanging around in the mediumship world so many years, yeah? And there's so much published about your work. Yeah, you have videos, did a lot of demonstrations and so on.
Mm.
So we will not deep into that.
No,
But there is also a deep human and spiritual story, and that's what I'd like to explore today.
absolutely.
So I'd like to bring you to our audience in a fresh and new way today.
Excellent.
So my question number one is that we define mediumship. How do you distinguish between true mediumship, good intuition, and emotional intelligence?
Actually, that's an excellent question, Brita, because I think a working medium needs to have emotional intelligence. That is part of mediumship. And that's not part of the gift, that's part of the human side that we have to develop.
Mhm.
So when you're developing your mediumship, you may be able to give people messages, from their deceased loved ones, and say your grandmother tells you she loves you and she watched over you as a child. But the emotional intelligence is your sensitivity or intuition to know what to say and when to say it to a person. Because in some cases, mediums hold back because their intuition says, don't. It's not the moment for it. Now, the medium doesn't really even decide that. They just follow the intuition or instinct. So, mediumship itself is the reporting of life after death, that your consciousness lives on after the life of Brita and can report through a medium. The good intuition, I think everybody has, but it can be developed to a higher level to become
Mhm.
working as a medium on a frequency. But emotional intelligence, I think, is really almost like if you were training to be a doctor. You could be a skilled doctor, but do you have a good bedside manner? So that's where the emotional intelligence is to know what will heal someone or what might hurt someone. So the medium has to learn how to apply the mediumship gently and with the most healing effect. That's what I would say.
Wonderful. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, you touched it a little bit already. How about doubts? What many people struggle, yeah, with their own intuition, let's say intuition. And I'd like to hear more about how you found your way. Was there ever a moment of doubt, and how did you overcome doubt?
Oh, Brita, was there ever a moment of doubt? There were many moments of doubt. And I like to clarify that to those who are developing,
Yeah.
that even the top mediums, no matter who they are, will be honest and say, I had moments when I questioned this myself.
Mm.
And I remember at the beginning of my journey, and I was getting spirit messages, and people were telling me that's amazing. But I didn't feel it was. I thought, what are they talking about? I
Yeah.
just say this because the medium doesn't really feel the impact of what they say to a person. That's felt by the recipient. So the medium is then left wondering, did I just make that up? Am I just good at guessing things? Am I? So you ask yourself all of these questions. But a lovely term you used earlier, emotional intelligence. I think this is where we grow emotional intelligence because you don't want to be just saying things randomly. You want
Mm.
it to have purpose and
Mm.
meaning. And that's why good mediums question themselves a lot. Because in the early days, now doubt was the other. great word you used here, because there's not a medium alive who does not doubt what they say. Oh, is that correct? Oh, what have I done? And they get very caught up in their early practices if somebody says no. So you could tell me 5 things about Gordon's life or my mum and spirit world, and I say yes, 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 yes. You say something else and I say no. Oh my God, why did he say no? So I train people to say, look, no is just a yes that has not been realized. But as a medium, don't go away and punish yourself. You said that for a reason. It's just not known in this moment. So the reason or the way we go over our doubts and our questioning
Mhm.
is by the practice. And then the trust you get when you do pass a message that is correct, and you see the person react and you know you've touched them. This is not just a clever thing you do. This has a spiritual purpose.
Mm.
I've taken somebody who's broken because they've lost a child or a
Mhm.
partner, and in that half-hour reading or hour,
Mhm.
their life's changed. They've been given a purpose to carry on. So it's important. But this is why the 2 questions you've asked really blend into each other. A medium isn't only a gifted person who talks to people about grief. A medium has to care for the person who's sitting in front of them. And they have to show that they are aware of how best to help that person. Now, that comes with trusting. And the more you do it, and it's only practice that will really give you that trust. You can believe in it, but that's just belief. Knowledge comes through practice. So when they practice it more and more, oh my God, you start to become just really blown away. You know, I worked with a young medium recently, and to watch his excitement, because he's still experiencing things. He's a really great medium, but he's still got all of that ahead of him. You know, where he'll be up here, then he'll, oh, did I really do it?
You went
But
through.
you see the journey. So for all mediums or those practicing it,
Mm.
don't be afraid of doubt. It's part of your development, and it's something you get over. And you get over it because you learn to trust. Quite
Mm.
simple.
It's all about trust. Right, right. It also remembers me of sports, yeah. In the beginning, yeah, you like if you learn tennis, yeah,
Yes.
or other kinds of sports, of course. Yeah, yeah. When there are balls you drop, yeah, and you just continue. So
Yes.
it's like exercise.
Well, do you know, Brita, in some of the teachings I do, I try and explain to people, who here has learned to drive a car? And most people put their hand up and they say, well,
Yes.
when you were being taught to drive a car, you were overcautious and you were deliberate with everything you did, hand movements, feet, your eyes were fixed. But as you learn to drive, you end up with your arm out the window like this, driving. So it becomes second nature because you trust.
Mm.
So, and I think, in all honesty, Brita, it's got something to do with the subconscious being given permission to
Oh,
do it.
yes.
So your conscious mind is what doubts, but the moment your subconscious mind allows it and says, you're good at this is real. So this is where the conflict is, conscious mind and subconscious mind. Part of the development is bringing them together. So it's one voice in your head, not a questioning voice and a believing voice. They become one. And that takes you back to the old Eastern kind of philosophy to become one with yourself so that you don't have other voices in your head that are telling you you're not good at this, it's not real.
Mhm.
That all stops when you begin to practice
Mm.
and you truly believe. No, you don't. You know it's beyond belief. You
You know,
know that
right,
where it's coming from is a
right.
higher source than your own mind.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that is a great outview you are giving us on the way, being
Well,
becoming mediums and not to, yeah, get too much hurt, yeah, by mistakes, yeah.
but that
Right?
that's important because one of the biggest things that I witness
Mm.
in teaching people about mediumship and healing and spiritual development in general is how they self-deprecate. People hurt themselves.
Yeah.
And I will say to them, look, hold on a second. You don't need to do that.
Mhm.
You can accept that sometimes we get it wrong.
Mhm.
I've done, I don't know how many messages, hundreds of thousands in my life. I'm sure they're not all 100%. And I know they're not all that. And some days it doesn't work. Some days it works better than others.
Also,
And you know,
okay.
Brita, because many, many years ago when I first looked into
Mhm.
mediumship, I learned that there were many physicists connected to mediumship in the very early days of the 19th
Oh.
century and things. The top physicists like Marconi, Sir Oliver Lodge, Sir William Crookes, great inventors, great minds. And they all worked on the radio, the building of radio. They believed that a medium was like a radio picking up frequencies
Ah,
from different kind of quantities. So
makes sense. Yeah.
but it is. So some days your signal is strong
Yeah.
and it's clear. And other days it's crackly and it breaks up.
Uh,
And so
cool.
conditions can actually interfere
Mm.
with the frequency. So this is where we teach people, look, you may have a day where you know you feel good, but all of a sudden it's just not happening. And therein we teach ourselves to be honest, to say to someone, do you know what? Today's not the day. The signal's not great.
Ah,
But it's a good way to try and take away the self-deprecation that people put themselves through.
yeah.
You don't need to beat yourself up because you got a message wrong. You can say, do you know what? It just wasn't right that day. And sometimes that's as simple as it is.
Okay, so let's move to the next
Sure.
question. What do you believe is the biggest illusion people have about life after death?
Illusion. I think that people may believe probably religious ideas that they've been brought up with as children,
Mm.
that we enter into a heaven
Hmm.
and that our character becomes perfect. And that we're floating on heavenly clouds and there's angels and there's I think that's a deluded state because for me it's not about heaven or hell, it's about existing, so that we
Mm.
exist in this world because we can feel it, it's physical, we can think it, we can touch it, we can know it, and we're not sure of this world that doesn't have boundaries. What happens when we die and there's no boundaries? So people create heavens, ideas of heavens to give a boundary.
Hmm.
And that makes sense because otherwise it would feel like a great abyss.
Yeah.
But if you imagine that your training, part of the training that I do
Hmm.
is to be aware of the atmosphere that I'm in. So that means I'm no longer just looking at where my body sits, but where is my mind in this space? So that for me is leaving this world, means leaving these
Hmm.
boundaries, these limits, and becoming a freer sense of self. Now, how
Hmm.
that turns into living on after death is really down to how a person sees their own heavenly idea. For
Hmm.
me, it would be the freedom of suffering, the freedom of the restrictions of this world.
Hmm.
But the illusion, I think, is something people create to give themselves boundaries so that it's not so big. Remember, heaven and eternity are so beyond our mind, our
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah.
People have to invent heavens
Yeah.
that they can live in
Yeah.
or
Yes.
that they can understand.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for this view and broadening also our view of the life after death. And it's
Mm,
not limited to a God sitting above and
no,
some angels around us.
sounds nice, but you know,
Okay. Okay, so we are ready for the next question, huh?
lovely.
Um, in the recent years, I realized that you stepped more into the role of the spiritual teacher than just being a medium.
Mm.
Was that a conscious choice you made, or have you been guided by a spirit, by the spirit world? How did that happen?
I believe it's part of my progression. Um, I have loved being a medium. It's allowed me to travel the world and meet many, many people, but equally, it's allowed me to help to heal a lot of people who have suffered loss. That's been wonderful. But in recent years, I have felt that the power of the mediumship within me that was carrying me through the world has changed. And
Mm,
it's actually become more philosophical, that
right.
the teacher in me, because I've grown to be a teacher, I haven't learned to be one. And I've grown through all the experiences with thousands and thousands of people and their sadness, their
Mm,
loss of hope, their loss of energy, their sense of defeat. So you're constantly battling with people's own negativity
oh,
and people's sense of loss or deprivation or whatever.
mm,
And my mind has always been trying to lift them. Come on, let's get you back on the path. Come on, let's find a purpose for you. And in so doing, I believe I've created an opening to allow the Spirit to use me as a
mm,
teacher medium.
mm.
So often I say things during my teachings, and it's mediumship. So though it comes out of my mouth, I go, oh, I've just learned that as well. So I hear it for the first time sometimes. So it's like a message to the people.
Mm.
But I also believe that's part of because of the world the way it is today. I'm not the only medium who's doing this.
Mhm.
Many mediums are now using their ability to to download, if you like, access higher files, bring in more spiritual teachings, because right now the world really needs
Mm,
a lesson in enlightenment.
mm.
And that I can do by giving a message to one family, but I can educate an entire room full of people,
Community, yeah.
communities, and especially now with online communities. So your message, if you
Yeah,
like, your teaching
it's
can go
broad.
out to many, many people. And in all honesty, Brita, the one thing I just keep hearing from the spirit world when I teach is teach people to be kinder to each other.
Mm,
It's the simplest teaching, but people are not. When we look at our world we're in at the moment, there's so much unkindness to one another. And it's like, stop it. The
mm,
world needs to stop being selfish and it needs to be generous, or at least see the spirituality in sharing and caring.
mm,
These are simple things that we can build AI, robots, and all the things, but can we truly be kind to our neighbor?
mm.
There's a piece of evolution that the human being needs right now.
Wonderful, yeah. And as you have this this great recognition as a medium, I feel also people listen more to what you are saying, as if you would sit there as a Buddhist teacher
Yeah,
only. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they know the depth of your work and that you realize the pain that is in
Yeah.
the people and in the world. And by your radiating this gentleness, this kindness yourself, yeah, this is like a warm embracement, I feel, when you are in the room and you do not even have much to say. It's a feeling I get at least, and I hope maybe you also.
Well, in that, what you've just said about being able to generate an energy is something a medium does. So
Hmm.
people have taken seriously in my life the words that I've said. So I believe that's why the spirit world have, in some ways, designed this, fashioned this next path of my life, because they know that people will trust me as a medium, so they'll trust the spirit philosophy that comes through. Because, in my understanding, whenever I get a chance to truly have the spirit world kind of channel through me, it's like nothing on earth. Quite literally, it is nothing on earth.
Cool.
It's
Yes,
beyond this world.
yes.
And when you can feel the pure essence of spirit and it fills the room or the group that you're working with, and they feel your happiness.
Mm,
Because it is a happiness, it's a contentment that only comes when you know there's more to life than this.
mm,
This is not all there is. So
mm,
that knowledge is what is needed for the world today. You know, you might disagree with somebody's way of living just now, but if you realize you'll come back in another life, you might come back living that way yourself. So the whole
mm,
idea is that once you know that, you can't take it back. So then you realize for me to hurt you, I would hurt myself more.
mm,
So I think, no, I can't hurt Brita because that would hurt me. My soul would be hurt if I hurt someone else. So
mm,
when you know that, then it encourages you to look for the virtues in people, the wisdom, the compassion. And these are the things you try to promote for
mm.
people so that they learn to just find a little bit more love for self and for others around them. Do you know, if we could fix ourselves, then our family, then our neighborhood, then our city,
Oh,
and that's Confucianism, but it really is. That's kind of something that's important today to work on self.
mm. So dear. Thank you. Maybe one more question about your
Absolutely, yeah.
own conversations, yeah, with spirit. Are you able or did you ever receive messages for yourself? Can you do that? Can you ask?
I can, and I have. Um, and yeah, whenever I really need to know something, I would ask.
Mhm.
I tend to ask more for other people, though. In all honesty,
Yeah,
I think when it was something, say, like when my dad was passing over to the other side,
yeah,
and I asked the spirit world, can you give him a little sign? And I was sitting in the same room as my father, and you know when they start to lose consciousness, and then they come back and lose consciousness.
yes.
And I sat with my guides in my father's house and I said, come on, spirit, let him see the spirit world. And I never said it out loud, it was in my mind. And as I just sat and my father drifted and then he opened his eyes and he said, Gordon, there's a light and it's coming in through a door. Can you see that? And I said, uh-huh. I couldn't, but I said, yeah. I said, no, 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 it's real. He said, that door's got light behind it. And he smiled. And it was almost like this sense of relief that came over him. And I knew you're going to be okay. You're going to go there and you're going to be fine. And I just wanted the spirit world to show my dad that because he was a man who taught us all to be brave. You know, we were brought up in a generation, Brita, you and I were,
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
you were taught to be strong, weren't you? And be
exactly.
tough. And my dad
Right.
taught us all that. And I wanted him to be strong to
Yeah.
face this next thing. And so in times like that, when I've asked the spirit world something, they've always came through. As I get older, I tend to ask for less and less and less because I kind of know that I'm on a path that is it's the right path. And even if things happen that I don't like, I have to deal with that. Sometimes as a human being, you have to fix that side of your journey, and then I can go back to being the spiritual teacher and enjoy moments in the light of spirit.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, let's finish with the heart of your mission.
Sure. Ah,
If you had 60 seconds, yeah,
ooh.
I give you some more.
No,
To
let's see
tell
what we do with it.
to tell our audience, yeah, uh, why you do what you do. What would be the message?
You know, over the years, I've learned that being a medium, having this gift, has brought different elements to my life. One, it took away a lot of my own personal fears when I was younger
Ah,
because I learned I couldn't die. So I thought, I'm not going to die. I know my life will go on. So instead of being afraid of dying, I also lost the fear of living. So I started to enjoy my life. And I do enjoy my life. I'm a happy person because of that. Even when I've lost other people, I know they're okay. They're fine. But why do I do what I do? Because when I see people broken and afraid because of loss or the fear of losing somebody. It's in my heart to want to help these people and make them feel better. So I'm really a healer at heart, and I just heal using the words of spirit to make people feel it's okay to love, it's okay to live, it's okay to lose, but it's actually okay to live after loss.
Yeah, the healer of the hearts.
Oh, I like that.
That's
That's a
your
lovely
new
term.
title.
I like that, healer of the heart.
I will use that
Yes, do I will use it too, Brita, if you don't mind.
for you. Wonderful.
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Okay. So, Gordon, thank you for your warmth, for your honesty, for your clarity and your depth. Conversations
My pleasure.
like this remind us that mediumship is not just about messages
No,
from beyond. It's about healing, it's about transformation
absolutely.
and awakening that happens here in this life.
Yes.
It's been a joy for me, for
Likewise,
us, to
Peter.
having you here with us, and we'll meet again and again.
Yes.
I know, in this life, in other lives, and wherever.
And it'll just keep getting better, Brita.
Exactly.
Bless you, my friend.
Thank you.